Hello and welcome to the Comic Conspiracy episode 547 for the week of Monday, June 6, 2022. My name is Ryan Higgins. Who's here with me this week?
Brock Sager.
And Kevin, not Charlie.
And Kevin. Hello, Kevin. Hello, Brock.
Hello, Ryan. Hello, Kevin.
I'll tell you how I am. I'm sunburned from going out to a baseball game and forgetting to put on sunblock.
Yeah, nobody cares about that.
The whitest man in North America somehow goes out to a sporting event.
There's not enough sunblock for you, Ryan.
I go white, red, white. Like, that's just how it goes. Like,
so you are a Boston tanning. Red Sox then?
Oh, there's no tanning. Yeah. It's just I just go straight. I just go pale, burnt pale. Like, there's no in between. So, and as of right now, in a continuation of our conversation from last week, UPS lost our entire lunar shipment, which is every comic for DC this week, and probably DC's biggest week of the year. FedEx is now not shipped our Diamond palette for 2 days. Did not ship on Friday, and as of the minute of this recording, has not shipped our palette today. So that is now meaning the earliest we'll get our stuff is Wednesday for Diamond. And somehow Penguin Random House, who we get on Mondays like clockwork, we got on Wednesday of last week. I have no idea why.
I know why.
It came crazy early.
I know why.
There's no holiday.
It doesn't matter. I know why.
Why?
Because there's something called Fortnite attached to a book in there. And
it's like the one book they couldn't delay.
It's the one book they couldn't delay, and the one book that's like, nope, it can't be late. Nope, you ship it early. Boom, done.
It's possible. It's possible.
What's the only book that's not on that? Oh, we're delayed list.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
every
right.
Fortnite comic,
one
right?
of the only books not delayed, like we talked about the other week. So I mean, yeah, it's totally possible. They're like, we are contractually obliged to get this out early, so we must get this out early.
Epic Games sticking it to Disney. Love it.
I mean, that's fine. So this is another week. Like, I haven't had a Thursday release for new comics in quite some time. That might be the case. We may have a Friday release of new books this week. Like, I don't know. Like, this just hasn't happened in a long, long time. Like, we've had pretty regular deliveries. We've had a few things go late. Diamond's been late. Like, we've had issues, but like not like this. So yeah, this is just.
Well, how many boxes did UPS lose for lunar shipment for us?
Four boxes that were like 60 pounds each.
So four large boxes.
Huge, 4 large boxes of comics. Yeah.
Because this week it's Dark Crisis, Poison Ivy, DC Pride. What else? Like, is it the end of that Batman stuff? Because Chip Zdarsky's run starts next issue.
Yeah, it's Batman and what is it? Batman and what is it?
Isn't that
Killing Time?
Oh yeah, Batman Killing Time as well. Okay.
Yeah, and that Aquaman Black Label book is this week?
Yeah,
the Ram V one, right?
Yeah.
Oh man, might have to call Elusive and get my comics elsewhere.
Yeah.
Perry, I have a list. I need you to pull some books for a real subscriber.
An absolute pain. So yeah, geez, I just, what a nightmare! What an absolute nightmare.
Well, and didn't we not get all of the Penguin Random House shipment?
No, we got everything. We got everything from Penguin.
Are you sure?
There was one box that came a day late, but yeah, we got it all. Okay. Yep. Just a nightmare.
Well, maybe you'll wake up tomorrow and things will be moving. And
I mean, it's possible. Yeah, it's possible. It's possible.
It got mis-scanned. It got skip scanned in LA, and it's actually leaving Kettleman City, and it's here in the morning.
It's totally possible. Yeah, it's totally possible. I have no faith that that's going to happen.
Like, I'm going to bet that my Kickstarter that I kickstarted back in 2020 is going to get here before this week's shipment at this rate.
It's such a nightmare. Yeah. I don't know. Hopefully this is the last time. Hopefully
this isn't the
perfect.
Last time.
Hopefully we are perfect.
It will never.
After this.
This always happens randomly, and it seems to always happen when it's like a big giant thing.
Yeah. It's always like big weeks. I feel like the little weeks we get, probably because there's less, there's less things go out on time. They go out early. They go out fast, right? There's smaller boxes. There's less stuff to get mixed up with this. There's just constant problems. Well, we are going to talk comics, and I got a lot of some not a lot, but some big movie, TV stuff to talk about this week. But actually, some big comic stuff too. Let's start with that. Start with the big comic news of the week. After, I believe, just over 20 years, Joe Quesada is out at Marvel Comics. He's out of Disney. He's out of everything. I mean, we don't know what he's doing as of this recording. He has not announced his next plan. But just a quick rundown. He was an artist, worked for Marvel for many years. 98, became part of Marvel Knights, which was a new line of comics. And we'll go into some details on all this stuff in a little bit. But a quick history of Joe Quesada at Marvel Comics. He worked at Marvel. He was he ran Marvel Knight, or co-ran Marvel Knights, which was an imprint at Marvel. Became editor in chief through 2011. Then moved to Disney. But no, Disney would have been a little bit later because when did Disney buy Marvel? 2014, something like that.
2014, 2015.
Is it something like that? Yeah, I can't remember. He was the chief creative officer for Marvel Comics. And then when Kevin Feige took over that role in 2019, he moved over to executive vice president and chief director of Marvel Entertainment. So, he's moved beyond Marvel Comics to the entire Marvel division. One of, if not the most important people at Marvel Comics in the last 20 years. This is big news. Big news. Joe Quesada is, really, I would think, the prime person at Marvel responsible for not only getting them out of the literal bankruptcy that they were in the creative and financial bankruptcy they were in the 90s. But was in charge of Marvel during the sale to Disney. So yeah, this dude's pretty. He was pretty important to everything that's happened.
He was the spearhead for Ultimate Comics. So because of him, we have Miles Morales. We have a bunch of other stuff.
Let's start with Marvel Knights. Bringing him in, bringing creative people in to an editorial position at Marvel. Not the first time, but obviously a very important piece of the comic industry where you have a creative in an editorial role because they know the products, they know the creators, they know how these things run a little bit better. For our younger fans that maybe were not buying comics in the 90s, this might be hard to believe, but Marvel was literally bankrupted in the 90s due to a bunch of bad decisions, plummeting sales. Marvel Comics were just in the toilet. Every book was borderline on cancellation numbers. They had lost all their major creators to Image Comics. After the height of the 80s and early 90s for Marvel, which had basically never been seen before or since, that the entire industry imploded, taking along with them something like 80% of comic book stores, multiple publishers, and nearly Marvel Comics. So Joe Quesada coming in to run a section of Marvel that was going to be extremely creator driven. We had, obviously, it seems quaint now, but at the time, getting someone like, nerd superstar, there's not really another way to say it, Kevin Smith, to come in and work on Daredevil was unheard of. To get someone from Hollywood to look at a tiny little comic book, it just didn't happen. Whatever Smith's legacy is and whatever we maybe think of him today, at the time, Kevin Smith was an absolute superstar and was blowing up Hollywood. I don't know. I don't think it didn't really last too long. But that's, I don't know. Who knows? I mean, a lot of this stuff may not have happened if he didn't do what he did.
Yeah, he's been he blew up in Hollywood and kind of stayed a staple. He didn't have like continuous, but he's always been a staple in Hollywood.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he never really hit those highs again, but he at the time he was absolutely a massive name, and growing in popularity. So to get him to come to do comic books was a huge get. The Punisher, who had been killed, they brought that character. I mean, they obviously very quickly redid what they tried new things with the Punisher. That didn't work. They immediately brought in Garth Ennis to fix that, so that was good. A focus on the small characters, the street level characters, and then from there, he worked on the Ultimate line with Brian Michael Bendis, again bringing in a little known comic creator to come in and reinvent Spider-Man. Again, Brian Michael Bendis had not done. He was not a name at that point. I mean, people knew him. He did some indie work, but he wasn't a huge deal. I
think it was Bagley that was the big pull, because that was bringing back that classic,
He brought in, a classic 90s Spider-Man artist. Yeah.
So like people recognized the artist and were like, I mean, because his run on Ultimate is it still one of the longest for an artist?
It might still be the longest for Marvel or DC. Yeah. Because it beat Stan and Jack on FF. So they had a significant run on that book. And the Ultimate line came from him. What's that?
He brought Brian Hitch in to do the
Mark Miller and Brian Hitch. Yep. Again, they took this, Grant Morrison's writing buddy that did some Skull Kill Crew and some Swamp Thing backups, and gave him he's the coming off Authority, obviously, but then gave him something very different to work on with Ultimates. And really, that is the pitch for the MCU, right? The Marvel Cinematic stuff came from the idea, basically came from Ultimates and Ultimate Spider-Man, like these ideas of let's simplify the stuff, let's get back to basics. I don't know that they would have. I mean, I'm sure it still would have happened for the most part, but they clearly drew heavily from those books as a starting point for the early Marvel movies. He's been not as public facing as far as talking about the comics and editorial, and this Cup of Joe stuff. I don't know that he was still doing those panels. And he was huge at conventions. He would do panels at every convention. He was the face of Marvel for a good 15 years of that during that time period. The last few, I feel like he hasn't really been as involved once he kind of got into the Disney fold and was more higher up executive. But he was there for that entire transition. So, New Avengers, that's him, right? That was under his tenure. All the again, remember, nobody cared about the Avengers in the 90s and early 2000s. It was a dead title. Nobody cared about Cap, Thor, Iron Man. These books were not big sellers. I mean, people cared. We cared. Comic readers cared, but they weren't huge hits. As much as people kind of rolled their eyes at the time, you put Spider-Man and Wolverine on an Avengers book, and you're going to get a lot more eyes on that franchise and everything in New Avengers, along with the Ultimate stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty easy to see where they get some of the influence from the MCU stuff. So. They made Avengers a franchise because of New Avengers. There was not, you had Avengers like Avengers West Coast, and that was really about it. The idea of multiple Avengers titles and it just was never, Avengers was never their most popular brand ever. Not once in their publishing line was Avengers the most popular brand. So Joe Quesada leaving Marvel is a big deal. Again, there's not really any day-to-day to the best of my knowledge, he was not doing any real day-to-day work with the comics in the last number of years, but he was still very influential and very, high up in the Marvel entertainment brand, and obviously directly connected to the comics. So, his run was not perfect. Bill Jemas Quesada was editor in chief, and Bill Jemas was publisher. I believe is how that went. It seemed like Quesada was holding back like the worst of what could have been. There was some not great stuff during his run too. So far from perfect. Just look up the name Chuck Austin. That's all I need to tell you. There's some bad stuff during Quesada's run, but a lot of that, I'm not sure how much of that really was him. A lot of the stuff that Bill Jemas tried to pull, like they could have tanked Marvel pretty badly if he was the only one in charge of the stuff. Quesada really gave the creatives control at Marvel, which had not been the case in a long time. They learned their lesson by doing that with Jim Lee and Rob Liefeld, and they walked, right? Because if the creators cannot be bigger than the brand, right? But Joe Quesada changed that. He put those guys back. He put Kevin Smith's name big and bold on the front page of Daredevil, right? You may be buying this because it's a Daredevil comic, but you are definitely buying this because it's a Kevin Smith comic. Mm-hmm. You are definitely buying Punisher because it's a Garth Ennis comic. We are pushing the creators, and we're selling you on the good creators, not just the characters. So, yeah, he was. There's a short list of people that were this influential: Jim Shooter, Stan Lee. I put Quesada right up there. In the last 20 years, I don't think there's many people. I don't think anyone in the company has had as much of an impact as he has in the modern day at Marvel. So you guys got stuff to say? Memories, highlights?
What is the last thing on your timeline there? What's the last thing when he was actually involved in the comics?
So he was editor-in-chief through, I believe, 2011.
Right.
Which Axel Alonso took over, and we all know how that went. So he was still doing the regular interviews, but he was at Marvel at this point. So he, where was it? I was looking at it. He became chief creative officer for Marvel. So he was like Jim Lee, right? Still actively involved in the comics, but not, I don't think so much in the day-to-day. It was more brand. So 2011, really, when he left editor-in-chief, that's his last time he was like actively involved in the day-to-day operations of the comics.
This may sound like heresy to some listeners, but I think of Joe in the last few years as like the Stan Lee.
Yeah.
In that he's just like the traveling ambassador kind of. He had that show. I don't know if you guys saw that show, Storyboards. That was on. No. It was a YouTube show that he did on Marvel's YouTube channel, where it's just like him interviewing guests. Not some of the episodes had nothing to do with comics. It's just about storytelling.
Right.
But it's under the Marvel banner, so it seemed kind of like he was like, I don't want to say the face of Marvel, because there isn't really a face of Marvel anymore, like there was with Stan, but kind of just like the goodwill, the jolly, guy who's just out there.
Well, that was Cup of Joe, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that was his whole thing, right? Was he was the guy that all the conventions, and that was in the 2000s and 2010s, early 2010s. Yeah, I have to look and see when the last time, like how much he was actively doing that in the last like 5 years. I don't think it was that much. I mean, like pre-COVID, like I don't think he was still doing it. But yeah, no, he is very active in the overall brand of Marvel, but yeah, less active in the day-to-day post 2011 for the most part. Again, involved in all of it, but not specifically the comics. And once you get Disney involved, I'm sure it's a very different role. So yeah, it's a big deal. No idea what he's doing. I mean, he left entirely. So
yep.
Funny enough, so did Bill Jemas. He co-founded AWA, which is a pretty decent publisher. he's been very quiet. He's not like a front facing guy like he was during the Marvel time. Maybe he realizes his but better to keep out of the spotlight and just keep your mouth shut and put out some good books. His reputation maybe preceded him a little bit, so I think I would be. They both left the same day, right? They both left last Monday. I would like after we've recorded the podcast, like because we recorded on Sunday. I would be beyond shocked if they work together. I don't.
What's the name of James's new enterprise? His new publisher?
He's involved in something.
I think it's called
something
Be
like
Good.
that. Yeah, but I don't. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any info on that. Is that it's just he's doing something. I can't imagine Joe Quesada's gonna work with him. I don't think I'd leave that position to Marvel or Disney to do some random startup with. But it's just weird that they both left at the same day or on the same day. So it's like I know people are like, "Huh, what's up with this?"
Right.
Yeah. So I don't have much else to say. Just big day for comics. That's quite a. It's quite a it's quite a legacy. C.B. Cebulski's been really good, but we don't really have someone at Marvel that's the name, the con guy, right? And to be fair, DC doesn't either, right? For all his, I guess it's Jim Lee at this point. For all his flaws that people didn't like about Dan Didio, a dude was approachable. He would talk. He was at every convention. He was pushing DC left and right everywhere. They don't have, neither company now has someone kind of publicly facing to be like that.
They don't have their ambassador. Con man.
They don't. They need one. I think it's very important. If you need that sideshow, you need that ringleader that can drag all these awkward creators and editors on stage and get them active and get them up there and get them talking, and engage the audience. Someone that's knowledgeable about the products, that knows the fan base. And right now, Marvel and DC don't have that person, to the best of my knowledge. So hopefully they both figure something out. They need someone in that position.
I think with that like creative shift in like following creators more and stuff, I think it's become more of not necessarily the big publishers are the ones doing it. It's the creators that are more really pushing things, and you see like more pockets of like like people pushing things.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's what I'm saying is you're going to have these creator focuses. People will be there for the creator, but you need the pitch man. You need the create.
Yeah.
A lot of creators can't sell themselves. That's just the way it is. How many panels have you gone to where it's like they're trying to pull stuff out of this creator to just say 2 words. A lot of them are, they're
quiet. They're quiet because of the NDA. So you need the guy that can skirt the line. The boss can skirt it. Like Dan Didio can say it and be like, whatever, I don't care. But you don't have that person, so it's like, you kind of need that.
Yeah. If Dan Didio drops something by accident, no one's getting in trouble because he was the boss.
Yeah.
But
it's always funny because I see on like Twitter, right? Like artists will go, well, I saw this on the main feed, so I guess I can post it now, right? And you're like, okay,
yeah. And, obviously the last couple of years for cons have been not really the same, so it's very possible both have something planned and they're going to have someone really active in that role.
They can't wait for the mascots.
But they need someone that's doing the interviews, that's doing press, that can be reached for comments or conversations and interviews. So, right now, neither of them really have that. Tom Brevoort, maybe the closest at Marvel, but he's not at all the panels. I mean, he's not.
No, Brevoort's more on like social media and writing and stuff. Not the you need that guy or woman. I shouldn't just say guy. You need that person who's not only the jolly like, hey, welcome to our DC panel and all this, but also is the lightning rod. Yep. The person who can stand up and answer the the gripe questions, good-naturedly, listen to people's concerns, and also do the shilling and the huckstering and the personality.
But including social media and online and interviews, they need that person, and I don't think either of them have it at this point.
Well, it's very hard to fill Stan Lee's shoes.
Yeah, and I don't, I mean, DC really, Paul Levitz was not that guy, I mean, I don't know that.
I mean, Dan Didio came close.
No, that's what I mean. He totally, he 100% did.
Like, I think Jim Lee
Quesada did for sure.
I think Jim Lee could do it, but Jim's not that's not where he's focused.
They're not pulling him out at fan panels,
to
talk about characters showing up in the next books. That's just not Jim Lee's role, right? And Marvel, again, Cebulski could, but he hasn't really. I don't see him. I don't see them doing that. I mean, it's the same position as basically the same position Didio is, but I don't think Cebulski's that guy. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe a couple quiet years of Marvel and DC cons till they get
Ryan,
someone out there.
Why don't you go for it with be the DC guy, Ryan?
Am I going to be the DC panel person?
Yeah.
What would I say? I got nothing.
I don't know. You could be indoors most of the time. You could require like a lot of shade if it's outdoor interviews.
Not get my
you already wear the t-shirts with the stuff on it. You already have the goofy smile for it. So I think you're set, man.
I'll do it. I do one panel and that's it. So one panel ever. Just stop at the top.
Oh, whatever. You loved running the panel for Scott.
That's terrifying. You kidding me? Anyway, we have some wonderful non-comic news to talk about here. I think we'll I know one thing you did watch a trailer for, Kevin. We'll save that for the end. I got to know if you watched this trailer, though. This would be a trailer.
I fucking quit. I'm done.
The reveal trailer for the hit new CW show, Gotham Knights.
Yes, the trailer that you sent me. Yes.
I'm just making sure.
I did watch it.
Sure. Okay.
I did watch it. And the old saying, if you don't have something nice to say, don't say anything at all. So I'm going to turn this over to you and Brock.
Oh, we got stuff to say. Look, I'll sort of paraphrase some of this.
Bad.
I'll paraphrase some of the stuff I said on Twitter. Very happy these kids are getting a paycheck. Congratulations, you're on a network show. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I hope the show is significantly better than the trailer makes it out to be. I have no problem with the cast, the characters that they're putting on here. Like, what is it we have? Well, with one exception, of course. Okay, Joker's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
So the pitch for Gotham Knights is Batman dies. Right, Batman is killed, like straight up killed in the middle of the street. It's him. Batman is dead, supposedly. Okay. There is a son of Bruce Wayne named Turner Hayes. Who is Turner Hayes? This is not a character that exists. Okay. So a random son of Bruce Wayne named Turner Hayes is approached by Harvey Dent, police GCPD. Harvey Dent. Why does he work? I mean, I think he's with the GCPD, right? That's what the trailer. I mean, Harvey Dent doesn't work for the police department, but he's the DA. But okay, sure. I guess he's taking the Gordon role. Okay, I mean, fine. We'll figure this out. At least I believe he works for the police department. I mean, he goes to the house. Why would the DA go to the house of them? Anyway, I guess this is one of not one of the biggest problems of the thing. So they basically bring in a bunch of people for the murder of Bruce Wayne. They believe have been set up. This is, I'm assuming, like the basically the rough premise of the first episode, including Joker's daughter. I don't know if they call her Dula Dent. They probably don't call her Dula Dent if Harvey Dent is here. I don't think he would arrest his own daughter. They bring in Bluebird and her brother. So Bluebird is one of the kind of Robins from Snyder's Batman run. Spoilers in this, but I don't think she's one of the ones that gets pulled in, that gets arrested, right? Like I think Spoilers just one of the other kids that is there, and then they arrest his son for some reason, thinking that his son could be involved in this for some reason, and they're all broken out of jail by Carrie Kelly, who in this trailer knows Bruce was Batman and was working with him. She was not Robin, the costumed hero, but
yes,
she says he called me his little Robin. What is this show? Who is this show for? Why? Like, what is the deal with this show? Why is this a thing that exists? Is the audience for this? Like, they're like, we're getting rid of Riverdale. The kids are too old, so we need like new 17-year-olds to be on a show. Like, the idea of Joker's daughter, Bluebird, Spoiler, Carrie Kelly, Damien, that's awesome. Okay, I'm in. I want to see what you do with this team. That could be a cool team. But this is not that. This is something else. And I don't know what this show is or who it's for or why they're making it. It feels like, I don't even know. Naomi just done, right? One season. Do you even get a season out of this? What is the point of this show? It's not connected to anything. It's clearly not CW Arrowverse stuff. It's totally some other unrelated show that's now on CW. You have the Superman show, so you're not afraid of putting your big characters on the small screen. Why don't you just make a Batman show?
Because for some reason they're scared to put Batman on a TV show.
But why?
We have to save Batman for the big screen.
But there's no reason. I kind of get that you don't want to use Dick and Tim and Jason Todd and Barbara because they're on Titans. Maybe you don't want to double up the characters. So you're like, okay, what other Bat family Gotham kids can we use? I don't mind the pick of characters. That's not the complaint. It's no costumes, no powers. It's very Smallville-esque. And we're so past that. Why? What is this show and who's it for and why is this on?
It's for the Riverdale crowd.
That's my question. Is it? I think that's very possible. But
it's just
like if this was Riverdale, it's a huge hit.
If this was like Gotham like High or Gotham Academy or something along those lines, I might think okay. But when you call it Gotham Knights, I'm like, huh?
You mean like if they were like cast them all as kids?
Yeah, like
this
is like stuff. This is legitly like, actual kids in like stuff, happens like
just its own self-contained little
its own self-contained little thing where, like we can explore Spoiler's character, we can explore all of these characters that maybe we haven't explored in the comic books, to an extent, but still kind of make it new and fresh. Because a lot of because I've been reading a fair amount of the DC YA stuff, and a lot of that stuff deviates from like character origins and all that stuff. But it doesn't really matter because I know it's something that's outside of main continuity. But like they go and try and make something of what they're talking about. This just kind of seems like, oh well, we can pull this person and this person and this person. So we have names in here and then just go with it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It did not feel like something that it's not aimed at me.
No, and that's fine.
That's fine.
But who is this aimed at? If this is, I would say if this is the Riverdale replacement, you're not really hitting it with the people you cast and the characters you cast. the whole point of Riverdale is like, we're going to be like crazy sexy with this show of teenagers. And I mean, it was a huge hit. They obviously knew exactly what they're doing. That's not what this feels like. This feels like Smallville, like non-costumed, quote unquote, superhero show. And if your goal was to replicate Riverdale, then you make this about teenage Nightwing and Barbara and Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn and Tim and Damian, and you just go crazy, and people will say it's gross and everyone will watch it, right? But I mean, if that's what you're trying to do, if that's what you're trying to replicate, then you've got the characters there for it. If it's a little weird continuity, who cares? If this is to be like, well, this is like the Batman version of Superman and Lois, well, you failed there because there's no Batman. If this is its own standalone thing,
so
I don't get what this is. What the thought here is.
I never finished Batwoman, but when Batwoman started and I started Batwoman, there was this awkwardness to
like season 1.
Yeah, like season 1. There was this awkwardness to the whole thing of the Batman's no longer around.
None of them are around.
Yeah, nobody's around.
Yep.
And it's just Kate Kane, right? Like it had this odd thing to it.
But they don't. But the thing is, they didn't go on like every episode of being like, "Where's Batman? Where's Batman? We're gonna find Batman." Yeah. Like they very quickly were like, "Look, they're just all gone, and here's our show." And they kind of just.
And that was the thing is like at first there was that kind of awkwardness of like, okay, I guess you're tying it in, but we don't need you to tie in. But this show feels like it's like we've killed Batman, haha. Now here's the aftermath, and we're gonna blame you, and then now you have to escape. What the heck's season 2 gonna be about?
Yeah, right. I don't know where this like.
Now, if this was Gotham Knights,
to go.
Like I'm watching, any given Sunday style thing about the actual Gotham Knight football team. I'm down, right? Like I am down. If Bruce Wayne makes an appearance in one of the penthouse boxes, sure, I am down for that shit, right? But
so wait a minute. You would watch a show, you Brock, not you as in royal you, would watch a show with no superheroes that is just behind the scenes of a pro football team called the Gotham Knights with an occasional possible drop in of Bruce Wayne in the millionaire's owner's box.
Hell yeah. Because this show, like a show like this, just like begs for cameos, right? Like throw creators in there, right? People in the audience. You know, when you're reading like those Tom King books and Mitch Gerard's is drawing themselves like in the crowd at Seth Meyers knockoff like late show thing, or you have like people who've been in the industry as like background characters or whatever in the show, like it adds to this fun dynamic, right? And you have things like you can bring in like they go to Metropolis, right? Like they go to like it's kind of this, I don't know, like the superhero stuff is there, but we're here to focus on the football, right? And I mean, Ryan was screaming at the top of the lungs, only true nerds like sports too. So
no. What I said was, we all know the real nerds are sports fans.
Yeah, statistics weirdos.
Yes. So yeah, I mean, sure, I'll watch the pilot.
Oh, you're a better man than me.
I'll let you know how it turns out. I just don't know who the show is for and why it exists. And then, I mean, that trailer was just...
It was horrible.
Just vilified around the internet. There's just nothing. I mean, I think the only thing people liked is Misha Collins being Harvey Dent. Like, people are like, hey, he's back. Like, that's the only thing anyone cared about. Everyone's like, what? This looks like a when you say a CW show, that's an insult. This looks like a CW show, and they've gotten away from that. They have been better. As bad as some of the recent Arrowverse stuff has been, This looks a level below that. So I don't know. Maybe end of the year episode, I'm going to be like, holy shit, Gotham Knights is the best comic show on TV. I can't believe what they're doing. I mean, it's possible.
Further prove we were in the dark timeline.
But you didn't sell me with that first trailer, so I'll watch maybe the first couple and see how it is. But whew, yeah, not looking forward to it. Something I am looking forward to, though. We'll get to that. This is not the first time this has happened, but there's actually going to be like a series of these. I don't know if you guys have ever done one of these, but TCG, not related to trading card games, TCG Entertainment is going to work with Warner Brothers to do a worldwide theatrical release of DC in concert. So they are going to do a touring concert series playing the scores of films, including Batman. They say Justice League 2017, which that's not the Snyder Cut. That is the theatrical release of Justice League, and including Batman, Aquaman, Black Adam, other movies coming up. So I don't know if you guys have ever done one of these. I've done a bunch of them where they show the movie and they cut the
Lord
score.
of the Rings, right?
I've went to Fellowship of the Rings. I did Batman. I did Star Wars. I want to say.
Didn't you go to like a Final Fantasy one too?
Well, that's different. Those are just like they play the music. But it's similar, right? Yeah, I've been to Final Fantasy. I've been to Legend of Zelda. I've been to a few of the game concerts. But yeah, so this is a live orchestra playing the score along with the movie, and it's great. I love this stuff. Are they just going to stream it on
HBO Max?
I don't know if they will. I mean, maybe they will, but it kind of defeats the purpose. The whole point of the thing is you're going to see a live orchestra play the music.
Yes, I want to go sit with a whole bunch of people.
Yeah, no, they're great. I don't know, Kevin, have you done any of these?
I have done one of the Star Wars years ago with the orchestra.
Yeah, they're very, very fun.
Yeah, I think it was at the Hollywood Bowl. It was like an outdoor screening, so it was like the acoustics were awesome.
Yeah. They actually have like John Williams, or was it just like the Philharmonic, or
it was I don't remember it having John Williams there. Now this was.
I just figured if it was at the Hollywood Bowl, they may drag.
Yeah. This was.
Let's wheel him out.
It was the Philharmonic. I just can't remember if John Williams was there though, and I know that sounds weird to not remember that, but I'm talking about this was 12 years ago, probably.
Yeah. I mean, when we've seen him, it's just been whatever the touring and local orchestra is, but it's very impressive. Oh, we did a Star Trek one too, where it was not full movies or episodes, but it was full scenes that they would do the score over. That's what the other one was. Yeah, it was Star Trek. So I actually saw Batman a couple of years back. Me and Leanne went. So we saw Batman not too long ago, maybe in the last 5-6 years or something like that. So, I mean, I'll go see the theatrical Justice League, I guess. I don't know if a lot of people, maybe the Snyder Cut people, will be outside picketing or something like that. And like Batman had a wicked theme or wicked score. Like that'd be really cool to see live. It's a long show, but I mean that'd be really neat to see perform live. So I love this type of stuff. I am definitely I am not a classical music or opera guy, but put Batman in the background and I'm totally there, right? So like this type of stuff is so up my alley. So I really want to see what they're going to do when these start to come around. So this is going to be more than just like kind of random one-offs. It's like a big tour they're doing. So that should be really cool.
Mm-hmm.
We got if you guys didn't catch it, I have 2 stories left. We'll save the big one for last, of course. I got one little thing here. I don't know if you guys noticed, but the hit internet sensation Morbius was reissued in theaters on Friday for a special 1-day screening. I'm sorry. It was a full weekend. It was actually Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So based on the extremely popular memes of the last few weeks. I mean, it's been the last few months, really, but Morbius memes have kicked into high gear the last couple of weeks on the internet. If you have not seen the various versions of Morbius 2, it's Morbin time. And just look up Morbin, Morbin. That's all you got to look up. You'll see hundreds of thousands of tweets and memes and videos and TikToks and everything. This has become quite a sensation. But Sony learned the hard way that viral internet does not equal box office sales. They should have learned a lesson of Snakes on a Plane, right? That we learned many, many years ago, that a funny line to say for free on the internet does not make people will go see your movie for $15. Because a 3-day reissue of Morbius in the theaters picked up $280,000. It was released in 1,000 theaters. So $280,000 is very, very little per theater. So yeah.
So how was it, Ryan? The second time?
Second time. I mean, I'm a Morb head, man. I mean, I just watch it all day, every day, 24/7. Look, the Morbius memes, wonderful. They are great. This is what the internet was built for. My review of the movie was my review. It's very basic. It's very generic. It's fine. I would totally watch it on a boring Saturday afternoon if you've got nothing to do when it's free on Cinemax or whatever. Like, whenever it shows up on like TBS, like just put it on when it's on like a cable.
Would you go see it with a live orchestra playing the score?
Only if they do the It's Morbin Time sequel theme song. Correct. Yeah, it's very funny, but it's also very funny to see Sony probably lose a shitload of money on this by trying to reissue a movie based on a meme. But be good on them. I guess you're going to try, right? Yeah. Here's my actual thought. I think if this actually did numbers, if people actually went and watched the movie because of this, Morbius 2 would be out like next fucking Christmas. Like they would just fast track it as soon as possible. Pretty confident this officially killed any Morbius 2 talk. So, sorry, Morb fans, you're not going to get your It's Morbin Time sequel. I'll have to wait for another movie, but I'm sure he'll be back.
He'll be back in the Sinister Six.
He'll be back in Sinister
Any
6,
day.
so maybe they'll get
any day to be announced.
Much like X-Men 3, we got the classic Juggernaut line. I'm the Juggernaut, bitch. Right? If you remember that internet meme from the early days of pre social media internet. What's that?
That's a line right up your alley.
I'm the Juggernaut, bitch. Yeah, I know.
I'm the Juggernaut, bitch. Titans are back, bitches.
The video is very funny. The line in the movie is very bad. That's because you just can't replicate that type of stuff. So yeah.
How often do you get to use the Titans are back, bitches? How often do you get to use it?
Way more often than you would think. I love it. It's still my favorite line of all time. Yeah. Now that should catch on. And finally, the big talk before we get out of here.
You don't have any listener questions?
Oh, I do have a listener question. We'll get to that after the.
Okay.
Thank you. We'll get to that after this. Today, as part of Netflix's Geeked Week, where they showed a bunch of stuff for a bunch of stuff, we did get some video for season 2 of Sweet Tooth. So that's cool. I'm excited for that. I like season 1 a lot. Did anyone ever finish that? Am I still the only one that watched
I finished it.
We never talked about it.
We never talked about it. We were going to do it at the end of the year episode.
Maybe when season 2 comes out, we can do both.
I liked it a lot. I liked it a lot.
It's great. Yeah, it's very, very good.
It's very
good.
I like what I saw.
It's very, I hate to use this word, but I can't think of a better word, sweet. It's not like...
Oh, that kid is...
Yeah.
They need to clone him so he never ages.
Right, yeah, he's perfect.
Because he's not going to be sweet when he's like 14 or whatever.
But this was just a perfect... Like anybody who hasn't checked it out, even if you haven't read the comic, and you just want something that you can watch, and it's just like I don't want to say there's nothing dark in it, but I was going to say it's more like I don't want to call it a feel-good show, but it's something you can watch and just take your mind off things and just like enjoy it. It's just... Yeah.
It's a good journey.
It's a great vibe show and a fun road trip, and I definitely recommend it.
Yep.
No comics knowledge. No comics knowledge.
If you're looking for a comic, don't read the comic.
I think it's totally different, right?
Like, comic is dark.
Yeah, and the show may go that way down the road, but as of right now, the first season was pretty. It has its moments.
Yeah,
there is
serious
stuff.
Robert Downey Jr. is the executive, like the producer.
Yeah.
And he has said, like, no, we want to keep it kind of not like all ages, but very family friendly, or more like.
I mean, it's definitely. Wouldn't you say like it's like a PG-13?
Yeah.
It's like Goonies PG-13,
not Poltergeist PG-13,
not Poltergeist PG-13. Yeah. It is fun adventure, but there is serious moments in it, and there's threats and there is violence, but it's not gory or like horrific. Yeah. So so this shows some of that stuff. I am going to take a bullet because no one's going to watch Tim Burton's Wednesday Addams TV show if I'm not watching it. So
what are you talking about?
Tim Burton, man, he's batting like 0 for 6 with his last few projects, but I'll give this one a shot because
It's Wednesday. How do you pick Wednesday?
I love Tim Burton up to like.
Yeah, I want to hear this end of this sentence. What's the movie? Where's the demarcation line?
Yeah, hold on. Let me look this up.
Sleepy Hollow. After that,
Sleepy Hollow is bad, but it's not the worst.
No, I didn't say.
I mean, I like Sleepy. No, I like Sleepy Hollow. Oh no! Oh, you know what it is. Oh, you know what it is. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. That's the line. That's the line, right?
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is the line.
Yeah. That's the line. That's the line where everyone hates them.
You didn't like Corpse Bride or Sweeney Todd or Alice in Wonderland?
That Alice in Wonderland dude was awful. Oh,
it was awful.
My God.
Dark Shadows.
Okay, so
Frankenweenie.
Pee-wee's a classic. Not my favorite, but a classic. Beetlejuice is my...
Oh, Beetlejuice is amazing.
I will say second favorite movie of his. Batman. I have to put Batman in a separate category. It is probably my fourth favorite Tim Burton movie, but one of my favorite comic book movies. Edward Scissorhands. I don't actually love. Not on my top. Batman Returns would probably be my number 2 Tim Burton movie, or my number 3 Tim Burton movie. I might not think it's a better Batman movie, but it is my number 3 Tim Burton movie. And of course, the number 1 Tim Burton movie of all time is Ed Wood. That is the actual correct answer. That is the correct answer.
I hate to say this, but you're right, Ryan.
Thank you.
I am not in that group.
Ed Wood is.
Yes,
I mean,
that is his.
It is amazing.
It's his best script. It's his best cast, and it's his best movie.
Yes, I mean,
I did not like Ed Wood.
I probably love Beetlejuice more, but Ed Wood is his best movie. Mars Attacks, while not on the top of my list, is an underrated classic. Mars Attacks is hilarious. And I get it if people don't like it, but I love it. Sleepy Hollow, I don't hate. I think it's pretty fun. Yeah. It's not great, but it's pretty fun. Yeah. Planet of the Apes, I don't hate. It's not great. It's pretty fun. I don't hate it. Big Fish, I get why people like it. I kind of take a pass on it, but
I liked it. It was I read the book.
Yeah, it's the most unlike him of all his movies.
Well, maybe Big Eyes, I would say is.
Well, yeah, Big Eyes is more.
So then Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is the next one on the list, and that is the line. I actually didn't hate it, and I didn't hate I actually like Corpse Bride quite a bit. I actually like Sweeney Todd. I actually liked Alice in Wonderland. But that is the point where I think people are like, this is the end of Tim Burton, right? Corpse Bride, I think, was something kind of different. I think that was in production for a long time, too.
What about Dark Shadows?
Boring as fucking hell. That is, that actually was the last one I watched because I didn't watch Frankenweenie. Yep, I didn't watch Frankenweenie. I didn't watch Big Eyes. I didn't watch Home for Peculiar Children. I didn't watch Dumbo. Yeah, I didn't watch any of them. Leanne saw Dumbo. She fucking hated it. Big Eyes, I just know from the start. I hate the art. I hate that art so much. I have no interest in that. Again, I heard Frankenweenie was pretty good, but I liked the short. I figured I didn't need to ruin it. Chris Jameson and Giant Peach. Did he direct that? Is that one on here? Did he not direct that?
That's Henry Selick, I think.
Oh, he like produced it, right? Yeah, it's like Nightmare. Yeah, James, yeah. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is the point where everyone starts to have a problem with him. Ed Wood, man, I fucking watch Ed Wood. Ed Wood's so good. Anyway, how did we get here? Tim Burton. Yes, we're not talking about Tim Burton. We are talking about Sandman. We got the release date, August 5th? August 5th? Pretty soon.
Yes.
We got the trailer, like the real first trailer. That shows the
first teaser trailer, yeah.
Now, comic conspiracy. I don't binge. Not 10 episodes.
You shut your face at binging. I'm fucking binging this.
You can binge as much as you want. We are going to talk about these episodes 1 week at a time. I believe I can get Toby on board. Okay. If I can get Toby on board.
He hasn't even read the comics.
That's fine. I wanted, because he started to listen to the audio drama and he couldn't deal with it. I'm going to try to get Toby to commit to see what he can do to change his schedule.
One episode at a time?
One episode at a time. Okay. Because I want to absorb this show.
So wait, are you going to watch one a week?
One a week. Okay. I'm not going to binge
do that
this.
too.
I can't.
I will match your schedule. So you tell me what you're watching and I'll match that.
I want to try to do one a week on the episode, on the podcast, so we can talk about it.
That's great. I'm binging it and then rewatching for every episode.
That's totally fine. Totally fine.
I'll have 2 in the can.
I assume I don't care about spoilers because I don't expect anything is going to be dramatically.
There's nothing that could really be spoiled in this.
Yeah. I mean, I think things will be different, but I don't expect some crazy out of left field change. I assume it'll be fair, from what Neil Gaiman says, fairly accurate to the comic.
I know I'm going to be in the minority in this group. Okay. So I'll just get out of the way. I'll say it first and then you guys can start the love fest. I am super excited for Gwendolyn Christie. Like beyond excited for that.
For as
Lucifer.
Lucifer.
As Lucifer? Yeah, no,
But no, that's not the part. That's not the part I'm talking about.
Costume looks a little shitty.
But beyond that, I'm kind of like, yeah, okay, cool. And only because I've listened to the 2 audiobooks, which are the same ground that this is covering. And so there's a feeling of, well, I've kind of been there and done that now. I've read it as a comic and I've just heard it performed by actors. So this just kind of feels like, well, we're doing this again. We're not even doing one of the later storylines. We're doing again from the beginning. Like, okay, sure. So I have no problem watching one a week, Ryan, or however, your schedule is. Cause I'm not like, I really got to see him get captured and go after the mask, the helmet and the ruby and all this again. That's all. What?
Yeah. No, I want to absorb this, right?
Well, the thing is I want, like, personally for me, I want to see those key moments that I really enjoy from those early stories, right? The diner.
Well, and that is, he said it's through Doll's House, so it's the first 2 arcs.
2 arcs, yeah. So, like, I want to see the diner. I want to see the sound of her wings. I want to see the cereal convention, right? Like, and I understand they're updating this stuff and making it like current, because reading Sandman and listening to the audiobook stuff is dated, right? But with this, we can kind of bring it to a current audience.
Of the time, I wouldn't say dated. Of the time, which there are going to be.
Well, he actually has dates in the book.
I mean, Sandman is the most progressive comic probably written up to that point in comics. So it's not as dated as I think people might think a comic from the 80s and very early 90s would be. But it is, there are probably a few things that will get updated for today, and they went in with some kind of colorblind casting. So, it's that's fine.
Well, I mean, I remember just really even enjoying like the secondary character, or like the secondary characters in it, when Rose goes and lives at that one place that has the 2 like ladies that are all like decked out in like weird old attire, in the
Barbie and Ken, all the people in the house she lives in, and
then there's the transsexual, were they the was it like the landlord or like the
I think so.
Something like
for the time. Fairly progressive, all things considered. But again, I'm sure some of the terminology and some of the wording will be a little bit different, and I'm sure some of the scenes will play out slightly different. But I'm sure they're going to be, one of the things Neil Gaiman said in the I was watching the live Q&A or the Q&A that they were showing live before the trailer release, and he said that I'll kind of paraphrasing here. He was like, there are thousands of corpses of dead Sandman movies and TV pitches and scripts that I've killed through the years, and this is finally the one. This is the one. So I believe him. I am going to believe him. I am. I've probably said something similar to this before. Look, if you fuck up the Batman movie or you fuck up a Spider-Man movie, I mean, they're going to do more. It kind of doesn't matter. Wonder Woman 84 wasn't great. Look, they're going to keep doing them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe the Cyborg movie will never happen. Flash sounds like it might be fine. Morbius bombs. It's kind of like, sure, okay. Sandman. I don't know that they give you really more than one chance on this. Not anytime soon.
I think Sandman is
not with Neil's overview and guidance. I think he gets one shot at this, and I'm terrified because it's on Netflix. So if you do 2 books in 1 season, that's 5 seasons. That is a commitment. And if you put in anything else, they could condense down the one shots. There's plenty of filler. I don't want to say filler, but there's plenty of background that can be trimmed and tightened up a little bit. So there's room to maybe do it in 4, but I'm just so afraid. If every Batman movie forever bombs, I don't really care. I mean, I care, but I don't really care. If Sandman sucks, or if it gets canceled and never picks up, or like legit bombs and is bad, I will be devastated. See, I trust Neil got it this time. We'll see.
I think what it is I think with Neil's guidance, and I think with just the passion that's behind this, has been behind this project for so long, right? Getting Sandman to the big screen of any size. I think we have, and again, the internet is a place that either things are going to get, blown out of proportion when they shouldn't, like it's Morbin time, or there's potential even just for the internet to save things like the Snyder Cut. So we live in an age where, Sandman is definitely primed to be impactful. And I think with at least what Neil has said, I think it will be impactful.
Yeah, I hope so. I just, Kevin, to your point, yes, we've been there, but I don't want random stories. That's the other problem with that, right? Maybe if Gaiman did it, if he was like, it's going to be totally new content, but I'm writing them, okay, well, then that's okay. But this is the story I want. I want this story done. And so we'll see if there's time for more. Again, I said for years a dreaming TV show like Anthology would be incredible, where you could just do whatever you want, and you don't really have to worry about, getting canceled or continuity or, messing up the original story. So I would love that if it's successful enough. You could totally do more stuff that's more original. But
we're also
I got high hopes for this.
We're also speaking from a different kind of vantage point. Wouldn't you guess that a huge, vast percentage of viewers on Netflix will not have read the comics and heard the audiobook?
Oh, yeah. 99.999%.
Maybe we'll have read the comics. I'm saying it's very unlikely you're going to have a tiny, tiny percentage that's done consumed all of the versions and then this. Mm-hmm. So me saying been there, done that is for somebody who's a fan of the material and has revisited it every chance. So I am definitely the outlier. And this is pitched to people who maybe read the comics or have never had any exposure to it. And so
and that actually was one of my questions, right? Do they cut out Martian Manhunter, Mr. Miracle, Brute and Glob? Do they cut out
the original Sandman guy?
What's the second one?
The second Sandman?
Crap, what's his name?
Hector?
I just had it here. Yeah, Hector Hall. Yeah.
Hector
Hall. No. Hector. I was just looking at
Turn
this.
in your geek card, everybody.
You're talking.
It is Hector Hall.
It is Hector Hall. Yeah. And Wesley Dodds, right? Etrigan. Are those because Lyda, right? Lyda feels like you kind of can't cut her out,
right?
Because of Daniel and everything comes out of it. But of the actual DC comic characters, will they include those? Will they get pulled? Because it's easy enough to cut out Martian Manhunter and Mr. Miracle. Etrigan, a little bit harder. Wesley Dodds, like, he's not really in it much. It's only like once or twice, like very like a panel or two, but it's a link. It's an explanation of how his powers affected the real world. There's some. I'm like six thoughts in my head right now because they cast Merv Pumpkinhead.
Yes.
They cast Merv Pumpkinhead. It's Mark Hamill. That's great.
Okay.
I hope he's not the Joker. I hope it's not the Joker.
I'm going to put 6.5 thoughts in your head right now. You'll be watching this in the comfort of your living room, and I will be doing the same. But I expect, and we live probably 20 miles apart, I want to say, something like that. Across that distance, I fully expect, and you better do this, if we see a live action red and yellow Sandman with Brute and Glob and the Dream Whistle, you better stand up and clap because I will be doing it in my room.
That should be next season.
That's in Doll's House,
right?
I think.
Is that in Doll's House?
Yeah, it's in Doll's House. All that stuff's in Doll's House.
Oh, it is.
Because remember in
that's when Brute and Glob come down. Yeah,
because Preludes and Nocturnes is him getting his artifacts back, his helm, his pouch, and his gem, right? And
I was thinking that was in the next arc.
And then what happens after that is once he gets everything back, then it's what's going on with all of the escaped nightmares.
Right. And Brute and Glob
and Corinthian.
Yeah.
You also have so what was it, the green?
Yeah. Fiddler's Green.
Like you have all of these characters that are out there, and so we're catching these threats.
Like I feel like you can probably cut Brute and Glob.
No, you can't cut Brute and Glob.
You're not cutting the Corinthian. No. You're not cutting the Corinthian. I mean, I just think they could cut the Sandman stuff. I think if they cut the Kirby Sandman stuff, I don't want them to, right? I don't want them to, is what I'm saying. I wonder how much of the Element Girl. That was the other one I was trying to think of. Element Girl. That is such a good issue.
Yep.
A good part of the Death issue. I don't want them to cut that, but it is the easiest part to cut.
Well,
because it's connected to the DC universe, and therefore you just chop off any of those connections.
Yeah.
But I don't want that. I want them in there. I want those in there.
If you had that in there, would you need to explain what Metamorpho is?
No. They don't in the comic, right? Not really.
They also don't explain Martian Manhunter and Mr. Miracle in the comic.
Yeah, you're just sitting there eating some Oreos on the Watchtower. Yeah. They're like, oh, Dr. Destiny, that JSA villain. Where is he? Oh yeah,
but there's a difference writing for people going into a comic store and buying a DC comic versus somebody pushing play on Netflix.
How do they explain Dr. Destiny? Right? I mean, is he just random dude? Is he in Arkham? Are they going to have Arkham in this? Right? There's so many things that I need to know. Jenna Coleman. So okay, Joanna Constantine doing the replacement here, totally fine. She's awesome. Like I'm super excited for her.
Yeah, whatever.
Look, I love Constantine. We've had a shitload of regular Constantine. Maybe they can mention him. I don't know. Maybe they just don't. I don't even know. But I'm okay with that. Like, she looks great. She's seems like she's playing Constantine, so that's all I care about. They're also going to call him Constantine, and I still can't. I just can't. It's teen. It's Constantine. I just can't do it. I can't do it. I'm an American.
Well, see, they're doing it for a reason, so.
Well, and that is another question. Does she play a bigger role? Because Hellblazer's really not in it. He's in the one issue, and then kind of a little bit, but he's not in like the rest of the book. I wonder if she's going to play an actual bigger role with Mad Hetty and Mad Hetty, right? That's right, yes. Hetty. And like his first season kind of arc. I wonder if she's going to be a more important character because Constantine he takes off. So I'm so excited, but I'm like the most excited I've ever been for a comic project and the most terrified, the absolute most terrified. Because I've said this before, if it's not perfect, I don't want it. And I hate to say that. I don't want like a 7 out of 10. I don't want it mediocre. It's got to be fucking perfect. This is the one. This is my whatever. This is the one that I need. This is what I don't know what would you call it? This is my most important franchise that must be all these people so mad about Obi-Wan right now. That's me with Sandman. Okay.
Why are people people are just dumb.
I need this to be perfect. Sandman. Trailer was good though. Trailer was good. Gave me lots of hope. We're getting Pumpkinhead. We're getting Murph Pumpkinhead. That's awesome.
Stephen Fry is Gilbert. Oh,
he's an asshole too. Like they gotta play him up as an asshole. I don't want him to like
who?
Murph Pumpkinhead. He's a real asshole in those early issues. I want him to be a real asshole. That should be a lot of fun, especially if Mark Hamill can do a good voice.
Stephen Fry though as Fiddler's Green is great.
Yeah, that's very good. That is very good. Yeah, I think Patton Oswalt is
Matthew.
I like that
Raven.
too. Yeah. That's good voice. I mean, I'm sure they'll do some like vocal manipulation or something, but
I mean, they have Lita Hall
very good. It's a very good cast. There's nobody that I dislike. Nobody's in it that I dislike of actors I know, and the actors that I don't know. None of them look off. Right? I mean, look, there was a conversation that we had about death. There is another person that was cast. I don't know her name. She is white, and she posted something on social media like, "I'm in this. I can't talk about it." But she posted a picture of one of the pages with death in it. So there was Neil Gaiman said that characters will look different depending on the context of who's looking at the character in the scene. And although I don't have the actress' name in front of me, so forgive me, the actress playing Death, who's black, I expect she will be the primary version, but I would think we'll see both the opposite, both the African version of Dream, the white version of Death, the American British version of. I mean, I always read Death as American, so the American version of Death, so the white American version of Death, I should say. So it'll be interesting to see if they give people like little glimpses of a more comic accurate version. While they have made some changes to some of the orientations of the character, like we could get like a Matt Ryan Constantine, like, little dream or something like that, in a dream or something. I feel like they may do that. But if they don't, they don't. Like,
Constantine, Constantine's legacy plays a huge role in the story with the guy that he allows to live forever that becomes his friend.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Because is that where Joanna Constantine comes from originally?
Yeah, I think that's where she comes from originally.
Appearance?
I want to say, yeah.
Maybe like they play up the legacy of like the whole Constantine sort of legacy in the Vertigo books and in Sandman and Swamp Thing and obviously Hellblazer. So yeah, she's not like made up character for the show. This is a real character. It's just
her first appearance was Dollhouse.
Okay, yeah, and that is Joanna Constantine, right?
Yeah. Joanna Constantine.
So they're gonna so that's fine. Like, yeah, I haven't seen anything where I'm like, oh, this is just goes against the books. They are all within the spirit of the books. I there's nothing that I've seen casting wise that's gotten me like angry or I'm like, this is wrong. Like, no, it's all fine. All right, I got a question here before we wrap up. It's from Craig Anderson. Speaking of,
he popped the question.
Yes. Well, not that question, but he has a couple questions here. In talking about, is actually a very good segue out of Sandman too. Something that's a little bit more standalone. I found over the last several years, I'm enjoying the alternate reality one-off stories more than the main continuity. Things like Injustice, DC vs. Vampires, Marvel Zombies, and Age of Apocalypse are so enjoyable to me. So 3 questions, and we can kind of, the first 2 kind of go together, and the third one we can answer. First 2. Has my brain just run out of room after 40 years of keeping continuity straight? And are out-of-continuity stories just better because the stakes are higher? I think those kind of go hand in hand. I feel like everyone's sort of, they hit an age where where what they think is like the true continuity becomes kind of solidified, and any future changes don't really count. That is me every time I talk about the X-Men at this point, where I'm like, yeah, they'll get over this Hickman thing one of these days pretty soon, because clearly this is not the way it's going to last.
This is for a couple years X-Men. Now. I don't know what it is.
Maybe 10 years from now, it'll still be the same way. And I'll be like, well, I guess. But, you know, at some point, yeah, you kind of have an idea of your head of what continuity should be, right? And whether that's the thing. And I think these Elseworlds, what ifs, and, you know, whatever you want to call them now, they are unique and interesting because you don't know what's going to happen. You can kill Batman or Spider-Man and actually kill them and actually keep them dead. And not that you have to kill a character to make a story interesting, but it is the stakes are different. You don't know what's going to happen because so much of comics is now we fight Green Goblin, and now we fight Venom, and now we fight Sandman, and now, you know, and it's just sort of like, well, we know where this is going.
Wash costume, out, do it again, repeat.
There's character,
rinse, repeat.
Yeah, there's character moments that we can, you know, that are the interesting points, but the plots tend to be kind of the same, right? Where you can go very different with Kingdom Come or Gotham by Gaslight, or, you know, DC vs. Zombies, right? You do something totally different. But in relation to that, what are your favorite out of continuity DC or Marvel books? And feel free to also answer any of those questions as well. Kevin, you want to?
I think this is a Paul Levitz quote, or it's not a quote. I'm going to paraphrase, but I think it's Levitz. Where a point that I heard him make once was that what, in his mind, continuity, or what a reader should have to remember for continuity is Superman is from Krypton. These are his powers. Bruce Wayne's parents were killed in front of him when he was a child. These are his powers. Wonder Woman is from Paradise Island, et cetera, et cetera. And that's what a reader needs to remember for continuity. And anything beyond that, if you're asking them to like keep a cheat sheet handy or be able to pass a quiz to read your story, then it's a failing. And that the continuity is the core, and that you should be able to drop in on any issue at any time. And if you knew that core information, you're good to go. So his question was favorite out of continuity stories. Is that right?
Yeah. Standalone, like out of continuity or
okay. So you cited Gaslight and
out of main context.
Kingdom Come. So I will skip those and I will go with.
Kingdom Come, I think, is going to top most people's DC
but just
list.
To name something else, I'll go with The Nail.
Mm-hmm.
The Golden Age, which I don't think is
Nail is Alan Davis.
Alan Davis, JLA.
2-part JLA,
and then there was a sequel, another Nail.
The thing, I like the idea of the Nail because it is that butterfly effect storyline of one thing changes, and so the whole course of DC is different now.
Yep. And the Golden Age, I do not think has ever been part of regular JSA continuity.
I don't think so. James Robinson and
Paul Smith.
Paul Smith. Yeah.
4-issue mini. Great. Consider these the picks of the week if anybody hasn't read them. And then I guess my final one would be Arkham Asylum, the graphic novel, which I do not think is part of any Batman continuity, nor could it really be. I mean, it'd be kind of amazing if it was, but it's really not for superhero readers, I guess is how I would say it.
Yeah.
All right, tagging off to Brock.
I mean, I've really enjoyed Sean Murphy's Batman universe with White Knight.
Yeah, the new White Knight stuff's been very good. Yeah.
And I just like that he's kept going with it. Same as like the DC Vampire stuff. The Dark Knights of Steel by Tom Taylor.
That's been really good too.
That's been really fun.
DC's always had a long history with this. Marvel, much less so. I think
I mean, 1602 was good.
But that is in continuity. That is, the alternate world thing is not, but it was Captain America, right? Is like the real Captain America that gets like transported over there, if I'm remembering the story correctly. So I believe 1602 is in continuity, and that's like Marvel's feels like,
Marvel's
kind of is close.
Yeah, I didn't pick that because that seems like it could easily be continuity. There's nothing in there.
It is, but it I don't know that they've have they acknowledged?
I mean, don't they acknowledge it as Frontline? Like, isn't that Marvel's every time there's an event? It's Frontline.
Yeah, I just was trying to think of is there a good Age of Apocalypse? I mean, technically is part of continuity as well. That was a chain, but in Craig's version, Marvel Zombies is correct. Marvel Zombies is a separate thing because it spins out of Ultimates. Well, but Ultimates came over, so Age of Apocalypse. But I mean, I understand what he's saying, right? DC vs. Vampires and Justice Marvel. Dark Knights of Steel, those are completely unrelated.
I couldn't think of a Marvel one to answer for Marvel. That's why I picked 3 DC ones.
Ruins gets brought up a lot. The Warren Ellis miniseries. I don't know when the last time that was collected. That was pretty interesting. But I kind of think of Marvels as the closest Marvel has to an equivalent thing, but it's not the same, right? Because
Marvel always did those what ifs.
Yeah, and what ifs are super fun, right? The early what ifs are great.
But they didn't do anything that was kind of this is Batman in a different universe, or this is Spider-Man in a different universe. I mean, we have Spider-Verse stuff, but
maybe the closest would be the Marvel magazine stuff.
Yeah.
Because I don't know that they count any of that as actual continuity.
Oh, okay. Here's my pick: JLA Avengers. I covered both companies.
Yeah, no, they're great stories. DC, especially in the '90s, did an absolute fuckload of Elseworlds and a lot of original graphic novels. Yeah, it's a varying quality, but there's really fun stuff in there.
Does Amalgam count?
I mean, it's kind of it's as close. I like that there is a somewhat continuing that trend with things like DC vs. Vampires and Dark Knights of Steel and
Deceased.
I kind of feel like the Black Label. Well, man, at this point, Black Label is like that. I mean, the Tom King stuff, especially. There's no chance that Human Target and Strange
Strange Adventures.
Strange Adventure. Sorry, there's no chance of Strange Adventure or Human Target are in continuity. Not after that last issue, Human Target before the break. So I mean, I assume not. I just kind of assume.
As a corollary to Craig's question would be, what are stories that you wish were out of continuity that unfortunately are not? We don't need to get into that right now at the end, but I have a lot of nominees for that one, Craig.
Well, that is, like you said, to what you're saying, what Paul Levitz's kind of quote there was, that kind of used to be the way. comics, unfortunately, just because of they have changed, so it doesn't really work today. However, yes, when new creative team comes on, I feel like the continuity exists within the run of the creative team, and it is their job at this point to now sort of reset at the end of their arc and give you something that you can pick up. All you need to know is that Bruce Wayne is Batman and his parents were killed, and you can jump into the Chip Zdarsky run coming up, and you're gonna get a lot of it. You don't need to know everything that's happened in every previous arc going back 5 years, right? And I feel like Marvel does a pretty good job of that when they're new with their newer titles. I did actually. So I've been kind of catching up one series at a time with various runs from the last handful of years. And I was like, I'm going to catch up on the Marvel space stuff, Guardians of the Galaxy. So I started to read the new one and I went, did I read the previous run? So I read I started to read the Al Ewing run and I'm like, did I read the Donny Cates run? And I read the Donny Cates run and I was like, did I read the stuff that led into this? Clearly, because it starts you off in a place where you're like, what in the fuck is happening here, right? So I'm like backtracking my way through. I feel like they've gotten better at that. That feels like an outlier. Because when I've picked up some more recent runs, I've been like, yep, this is the start of a thing. Cool. Okay, I understand everything here. Guardians threw me off. I'm trying to figure out when they cut off Thanos' head. I don't remember this. Like, I'm sure I read this. Was it in Infinity
Wasn't that
Wars
in like
or some
Cosmic
shit?
Ghost Rider?
Was it in Cosmic Ghost Rider?
Isn't he in Eternals?
Yeah. I mean, this was a couple of years back, so he's fine now.
Sorry,
but like,
my bad.
He got over it. He
like
got
Darth
over
Maul.
it.
Yeah. And the problem is trying to look up when did they cut off
He
his
walked
head.
it off.
All I get is stuff for Endgame.
Yeah.
Because they cut off his head in Endgame. I can't actually find out where this happens in the comics.
Yeah, no, it happened in Cosmic Ghost Rider.
Is it? But where does Kate's Guardians 1 pick up from? It can't be Cosmic Ghost Rider. I don't, and it's not the last series because I read that. So I'm just like, did I miss something? Like, is he in a book? Is it Death of Eternals? Does that happen at the end of Death of Eternals? Because I didn't read that. That was Kate's too. So maybe that's where it comes from. Anyway, I'm doing some research because that's my newest book that I'm trying to read.
And as one should have to do before starting a comic, some research and some internet sleuthing.
I clearly missed something here. I clearly missed something here because he's been around as far as I know. But yeah, I do love those good standalone out of continuity stories. Okay, that is the end of another wonderful, beautiful, amazing podcast. As
wait, we're not going to talk about that first episode of The Boys.
I mean, I did not watch it, so no, we're not going to talk about it.
What?
It'll be soon. We'll get to it.
You guys need to watch it.
We'll get to it. I love The Boys. Yeah, because it's weekly. It's not. They don't drop the whole thing, right?
They drop 3 episodes.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll talk about it by the time it wraps up. Yeah. Thank you all for listening. You're going to hear a lot about Sandman in the next couple of minutes. So get ready for it. Thank you to our high tier backers, Joe Duff, Kelsey May, Craig Anderson at clearpathcoaches.com, Jimmy Rivera at the Social Forum Podcast, and Talon Bray. Thank you all very much for your support, and everyone else that supports us at patreon.com/comic conspiracy. Kick us a couple bucks a month and help support this podcast. You can go to comicconspiracypodcast.com and Apple Podcasts to find all our previous episodes. Don't forget to go to comicsconspiracy.biz where you can purchase all your comic books. It's going to be a while before this week's, but we'll get those up soon. Head over to conspiratorBrock.com for all Brock's video pull list, unboxing videos, and other stuff over there. Charlie's Wanderers in the Fourth Dimension podcast, all about Doctor Who. And Kevin's weekly interview series called Between the Panels, which is at fanbasepress.com. You can read all his interviews with some cool new upcoming creators and existing current creators. My wife Leanne has a website, leannehill.com. You can find her artwork on there and purchase it at the shop, but also at etsy.com/shop/LeanneHillArt. Go on Twitter and harass all of us, Ryan Higgins Ryan, Brock Sager, Toby XI is Toby, Insanity and Chaos is Charlie, Kevin is that Kevin Sharp, in the store is Comics Con Store. And check out Geekbox. New episode next week. I'll be back on for that. And Manga Machinations. Okay. Thank you all very much. See you next week.